Hello, hello, everyone. Hello from me and Gouda. Welcome to our weekly speaker series for our upcoming Paranormal Research Symposium. My name is Alex Matsuo. I am the conference chair. I'm also the founder and director of the Association of Paranormal Study. And this is the organization that is bringing you the Paranormal Research Symposium, which will be happening in Gettysburg on Saturday, August 17th. The tickets are now on sale. You can head on over to associationofparanormalstudy.com and you can grab your tickets right over there. You can also go directly to our ticketing site, and I'll put that in the chat for those of you who are watching on Facebook and YouTube. You can grab your tickets right over there. Now, if you're looking at the tickets and you're thinking, "Wow, I really want to come, but I just don't know if I can make it happen, or I don't know if I want to pay $50 for tickets." Never fear, because guess what? We have something really cool happening. We are doing a giveaway for tickets. So we have 2 tickets to give away for the Paranormal Research Symposium, thanks to our sponsor, one of our amazing sponsors, Gold Dust Publishing. They have graciously donated their tickets for the event. And so we are going to be giving them away. So there is a post on our Facebook page, very important Facebook page or our Instagram page. Tag someone you want to attend the Paranormal Research Symposium with you, or someone you think would love to come, and then share the post on your timeline. So if you do that, you will be entered into a drawing. And this drawing will take place a week from today on Monday during the weekly speaker series at 8 o'clock. So if you want to come to the symposium and you would like to get some free tickets, then come on over for that. All right. So this evening there's my dinner in the background. Haha. That's a casual show, everybody. It's a chance for everyone to meet our speakers, get to know them, hear what they have to say, hear a little bit about what their topic is all about. So this is a really informal chat, just lots of fun. Now, this is an interactive show. So if you have a question or a comment, leave it in the chat. So I do have a few people monitoring the chats right now, both on YouTube and Facebook. Leave a comment there or leave your question there if you would like to ask Victoria or Amelia a question, and we will flash it up on the screen. Lots of fun. It'll be flashed up on the screen just like this. So this is from when I posted about the tickets. It'll pop up just like that. So you'll get your chance to be in the spotlight for a moment or two. All right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and welcome Victoria, Jaye, and Amelia Cotter to the show. Hey, ladies, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm here with you all, and it's already a good evening. So, first of all, thank you both for being here this evening, and also thank you so much for being part of the symposium. Both of you submitted some really interesting topics that the committee was like, "Oh my gosh, we definitely want this." There really wasn't any question at all. So there was, yeah. So both of you submitted some amazing abstracts, and for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, usually with a lot of paranormal events, it's by invitation, or it's a friend of a friend inviting another friend, or it's a celebrity being invited, that sort of thing. We did something a little different for the symposium. We asked all of our speakers to submit abstracts. So an abstract is so it includes sources, it includes we also had a rubric that we worked from. So it was like based on a point scale. So it was really like the process was a little rigorous for this, because we were really wanting to focus on like the research and the academic side of paranormal research. And both Amelia and Victoria submitted amazing abstracts. I was very impressed. So, and so was the committee as well. And we have Megan. Megan says, "Hello, spooky, lovely ladies." Hello,
Hi,
Megan.
Hello.
All right. Perfect. So this is a chance for you all to get to know Victoria and Amelia, ask them about their topics, what they're going to be speaking on. I'm going to go ahead and get the ball rolling and ask you both, and we'll start with Amelia for this one. How did you get into this research area and this research field? And basically, how did it bring you to this moment right now?
Sure. So that's a great question. I've spent years trying to find my my niche and kind of like my footing where I fit in with all of this paranormal stuff. So I got started with this around 2009, 2010, and as a writer, as a researcher. I live in Chicago. A lot of Chicago material has been extensively covered by amazing researchers, and I'm a little bit of a ghost hunter, but I'm more of a storyteller, folklorist. And for years and years, I've been wondering, like, what is my special purpose in all of this? Like, what do I do? I've done the talking head thing on TV, and that's been super awesome. And but it's kind of come down to, I sort of like whittled it down in the last few years. So this topic was really timely because it's been something that I've been personally working on for a long time. So the legacy of lore, why our ghost stories matter, is my topic. And it's something that I've been talking about at a lot of different places that I've been visiting, just sort of like taking a high level overview of like why ghost stories and folklore and ghost lore are so important to us and what it means in the broader sense of things, more so than taking it from an empirical standpoint myself as to whether or not ghosts are real and can we prove all of that, but sort of like taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture.
Nice. All right, Victoria, same question for you. What got you interested in this field of research?
So I had noticed just coming into everything, the paranormal community, as far as demonology, that there were some problems in the community of people automatically assuming something was a demon. And I know and it gets on everyone's nerves, including me, because it makes my life harder. And anybody who actually works in demonology knows that they're very, very rare. So in an effort to help with that, I thought, oh, well, I could use the classification system that I had developed during my thesis work. And then in my book, The Black Hours, I could use it for other types of spirits. And then I could differentiate between spirits using what I call markers, which are individual pieces of phenomena that only show up in that narrative. So originally I was going to do jinn and shadow people and also talk about demons and the overlap between the three. But unfortunately, there aren't enough sources that are in English because jinn are not as well known in the Western world. But then I stumbled upon skinwalkers because I'd done an episode on skinwalkers and found they were actually pretty common and very similar. So that's how I stumbled on that.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, both of you cover really fascinating areas, like why ghost stories are important, and also the classification system. It's like, holy cow. I mean, you're right. We do live in an era where everything is a demon. Well, everyone thinks everything is a demon, and sometimes it's blaming content creators for that. But I know it's a big pain point. Awesome. Yeah. No, thank you both for those wonderful answers. So, my next question for you is, and this time we're going to start with Victoria. If there was a key takeaway you want people to walk away with when they see your presentation, what is that takeaway?
That different spirits do have different markers. It's very like cut and dry for me, that not only are they different, but that there are ways to like map it out. I guess that's my job, to map it out and figure out what you're dealing with based on this research. So we don't have to live in the era of everything's a demon anymore, because I already did the research for you.
Nice. All right, Amelia, same question for you.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, so I want people to sort of, I want to take it from kind of like an accessible approach that, I believe in believing people's stories and experiences. That's something that I've learned over the years from collecting hundreds of different wild and crazy, everything from the mundane to the wild and crazy. And so, but for me as a storyteller, from my specific perspective, not being like a traditional paranormal researcher in like the broader sense of being like a ghost hunter or a paranormal investigator, I'm asking people to reflect on how folklore and ghost stories connect us to the human experience, to each other, to the world, whether or not the stories are true, how they affect us and are, culturally, generationally, and also just ourselves. So it's kind of like from an academic standpoint, it's like more like social anthropology, and just like vibe with that. Like, you don't have to be super into it from an academic geek point of view, like how I can be. It's just kind of like
don't worry.
Time to reflect on how cool ghost stories are. So, and why they're cool, like why we really think that they're cool, besides the fact that they are scary. So,
yeah, nice.
That was like my whole folklore education summed up. So, yeah,
right.
I was about to say, both of you, it's kind of serendipity or fate that you two ended up on the same stream. It's kind of interesting because you both have that folklore background.
Yeah, like the folklore, kind of like that level set. Like, let's take a step back. Let's look at the bigger picture. Let's see what's in front of us, and like look at it from this more, just this broader perspective, and not get bogged down in the details.
Nice.
Yeah, the devil is in the details.
Ha ha ha. Nice. I see what you did there. Awesome. All right. So I have a similar question for both of you, but it's kind of a insert field of study here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Amelia, and then Victoria, I'll throw the same question to you, but it'll be relevant for your area with demonology. So Amelia, what are some trends you have noticed with how have ghost stories evolved over time? And we'll keep it easy. Or keep it somewhat easy. Maybe let's focus on the United States,
right?
Or any other region you can think of that's relevant.
Cool. Let me avoid TED Talk, but yes. So there's a couple different things that are exciting to me about that question. One is changing trends over time. So we can go back through time and kind of take a look at pop culture, because sort of pop culture, paranormal has become super mainstream now. Even just back in 2010 when I got started, it was still this kind of weird niche little thing. And now it's kind of everywhere, and people are more open and excited to talk about it. And also take it in all of its forms, like you mentioned, like social media influencers and stuff like that, spilling all sorts of information from all places. Anyway, through time, we can take a look at different types of experiences and stories, like people's UFO experiences and abduction experiences, and how those have changed over time. People's experiences with like demonic entities, and how that has how they follow similar threads to what's going on in like pop culture. So like we didn't have the Native American, the Indian burial ground trope enter like the mainstream consciousness until Poltergeist came out, right? And then ever since then, you've heard a lot. It just seems to be something that once it popped into people's heads, it was there. You had like during the time in like the 1950s when there were these, UFO and World of Worlds type of movies coming out about alien beings that had like benevolent messages for us and stuff. A lot of personal UFO experiences had to do with meeting beings that had like some sort of message for them about humanity, etc. And then as we got more into like horror movies in the 1970s with probing and things like that, then you started to see more violent abduction stories sort of taking over. And this is really painting with broad strokes. So But with demonology, it's really interesting too, because like the Warrens and the Amityville horror phenomenon, like movies, the movies that came out 70s, the Satanic Panic and all of that stuff, like really elevated that into the consciousness of people, so that people were starting to experience demonic activity at home that they probably wouldn't otherwise have talked about. Same with Bigfoot sightings after like the Patterson-Gimlin footage and stuff. And some of that also has to do with things that were going on in society. I'm not going to get into that right now because you'll never hear the end of me. But something that is just a little kernel of I don't know, a little nugget that I picked up on recently was that I went back and read a book from like 2009 or 10 that was like, it was like one of the weird books, you know, like Weird Illinois, Weird Maryland. There's that series. And it was just like a collection of haunted stories from around us. And they were mostly like pretty cool, like traditional ghost stories about like, you know, glasses flying off the back of a bar, footsteps in the night, lady in white, that kind of stuff. They were spooky, but they weren't extremely personal, and they didn't all have these narratives that tied up neatly with a bow. There was no psychics that came in and gave exact information about every single aspect of the haunting, and then people were able to resolve the issue, etc. It was just like, yeah, this place is haunted. It's really cool. It's really neat. And I've noticed that, so ghost stories have kind of taken shape from that type of interest into what we have now, that I know Victoria can probably, and that you, Alex, too, can speak a lot about too, which is like now it has become this whole other, demons are coming to get you and you're not safe in your own home kind of vibe. So it's quite interesting. And that, of course, is also reflected in politics and things like that too.
Nice. All right, Victoria. So similar question for you. So how have the views on demons changed from ancient times to present day? And are there still any similarities between modern views and ancient views?
So in ancient times, demons were more like readily accepted among the public. Like as far as people thought that everything was a demon, like literally. Like if you tripped and fell and your chicken randomly died, it was a demon. So in a way, we're actually sort of returning back to that. It seems like, because we're going into what I think is a full-blown second satanic panic. People are scared. People come to me actually quite a bit because I have my website and they contact me through my email on there to talk about their experiences. And I found that people are very unwilling to believe that it is anything other than a demon, first of all. And second of all, that they're not open to other interpretations of what they're telling me besides that. Like, oh, if I say maybe it's a Dybbuk, maybe it's a jinn, maybe it's this or that, they'll be like, I don't believe in that stuff, because they've been told from their religion that there's only angels and demons, that even ghosts don't exist in a lot of Christian circles. So it's very difficult to try and tell people that, no, I can almost guarantee that that's not a demon. So I try to be upfront with it when people come to me at first. Sometimes people don't want to talk to me unless I call them, and I'm not willing to do that anymore because I had a creepy experience with somebody. But I think we're returning to that view that everything's a demon because of the way that our world is heightened. Everything is a lot scarier now than I would say it was maybe 30, 40 years ago. Although that is an overgeneralization for sure, because we had other things going on 30, 40 years ago. But these days, I think people want to believe that our world is not as evil and not caused by humans being evil and not having access to mental health care and all sorts of a litany of other reasons why some horrible tragedy could have happened. They want to believe, no, it was a demon. It had to be a demon because humans aren't capable of this.
Oh, man.
That's a really good point. Like the idea that since we probably feel more helpless than we used to, even though, like, you're right, like crazy stuff was going on 30, 40 years ago, but I think we all feel like there's new generations of people that feel totally helpless in the world. And so it's easier to blame dark, mysterious forces than
that you don't understand, that are bigger, stronger, faster than you, and that you cannot stop.
Yeah. Ooh. Yep. That's a good one. All right. We got a hello from Ecto Eyes and a hello from Just Your Average Dad. Hello, hello. Thanks for watching.
I know those guys.
Oh, nice. We actually did have a question from Ecto Eyes. This is an interesting question. What do you believe spirits do with the offerings you give them?
My best guess is probably that they enjoy them in the way that they possibly can from their dimension. I don't know if that's right, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo that. I guess what I'm not, like we would have to define offerings. Like, I assume that there are spirits out there, there are beings out there that get something out of the communication that they have with us. And so they're probably I would imagine they experience a range of emotions and desires and feelings that, or maybe even broader than what we can understand. But I think that's a good question. I always wonder it's easy for us to always consider how, like, ourselves in relation to the spirit world, but like, what did they really get from us? Maybe other than like watching us kind of, watching our things unfold before their eyes, like a soap opera.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. All right. Thank you, Ecto Eyes, for that. All right. So now the questions are going to start to deviate just a little bit. So this first question is going to go to Victoria. So what ethical considerations are important in the field of demonology?
Mostly, you have to remember that these people are already scared. That's why they came to you. I make it very upfront that I am not an exorcist and I am not a demonologist. I'm a demon folklorist. And a lot of people don't know the difference. The difference is really that I don't go into these places. I'm a little bit too psychic for that. I just get sick. And I'm no help to anybody if I'm getting sick. And then second, I don't translate old languages. I don't really look into the past. I'm looking at right now and what's going on right now. But you have to remember these people are scared. You don't want to give them information that's going to overwhelm them. And you also have to give them accurate information. And I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but in our world where people are sort of like selling out to TV shows and being paid to say, oh yes, that's definitely a demon, when it's like you're kind of turning your back on the research that you swore to uphold. And it's easy to believe something's a demon because the expert's telling you it's a demon, but do you actually think that's what it is? And if you don't, you shouldn't say that. So those are the main two that come to mind.
Nice. All right. Nice. All right. So next question is going to go to Amelia. So what are some common themes that you found in ghost stories across different cultures?
Ooh. Oh, wow. What a great question. Geez Louise. So people have different names, for different things, but tend to have similar kinds of experiences. And then they categorize them differently according to beliefs or prevailing social and cultural beliefs. There's some cultures where it's less exciting so sometimes I lived in Germany for a while, so I use that as an example where I think now you see more cultural acceptance of like urban exploration and ghost hunting in a lot of the European countries, because they're obviously great places to do that. And then social media has obviously made it a broader things. But I lived there in 2005, 2006, and I was very interested in ghosts and haunted places. When I was there, people would sometimes have a ghost story, and I went on a couple of legends tours, and those were very much legends tours. Like, it was clear that we were talking about legends and lore, not about people's personal experiences or haunted places. And I, talked to people about their relationship to ghosts, and they're like, this is not really a place where we think it's very entertaining to think about people.
Did she freeze on your end too, Victoria?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Uh-oh. Let's see. Well, while we're Waiting for Amelia to come back. Yeah, I was wondering because I was like, wait a minute. It's all good.
Right.
All right. Let's see.
So
We'll give
actually,
her...
I have an answer to
Same.
this as well.
Oh, wait. Is she back?
Did I come back?
Oh.
Did I glitch or did
Yes.
you glitch? Because it went
You
all
glitched.
swirly. It went
Yeah.
swirly. Okay.
All good.
Sorry. I was like, I tried to pause and I was like, maybe I should just keep talking. But so it was interesting from the German perspective with their history and the controversies around their history that like ghost hunting was kind of not talking about ghosts and ghost stories wasn't necessarily a fun thing. It was painful to think about and perceive that. So then there were areas that I had heard about that were haunted. And when I went to these places, like, and not really haunted, but more just like spiritual areas, like old Celtic ruins that have been turned into cathedrals that were now just ruins. And there were a lot of people there. There were people there lighting candles and meditating and talking and having a drink or having a chat with their friends. So that part, they did seem open to that as well. So that was kind of fascinating for me. Something that doesn't necessarily have to do with ghosts per se that interests me. I'm sorry if I glitched again.
You're good.
Is like mythological creature sightings. So the similarity in sightings around the world and depictions of things like dragons and winged beings and things that we can glean from our understanding of like biblical descriptions of animals and chimera and stuff like that have actually been independently, mythologized around the world, which I find really cool. And you could stop on any one of those, like Jersey Devil type creatures, like biblical looking, bizarre, meshed together animals that have been depicted throughout in different religions and cultures. Dragons, Bigfoot like creatures are mentioned in almost every place, human like entities that are sort of, primate like as well, including in places that didn't have primates, etc. So that's really cool. Sorry, I glitched like 1,000 times.
You're good. You're good. You're good. And Victoria, you mentioned you had something to add to this.
Oh yeah. So I don't know, Amelia, if you've read Frank, I think his name's Frank DeCaro's work on the dual structure of stories. How it's what they're really about is that like we have the story and then we have why the story is being told. So like the history, like for instance, what comes to mind is slavery in the antebellum era. And the reason that we still have these horror stories is because we're trying to deal with the trauma of slavery and what was done. So that came to mind as far as like why we keep seeing these same things. It's because as humans, it seems like we don't really learn from our past mistakes.
Right. And these kinds of the stories and this lore provides us a way of understanding the world around us. And it is fascinating how people experience people, even though I think, we all know that like depictions of the devil are not really accurate depictions of what a demon might look like. They're more these like cartoonish images that we've depicted in art history. And of course, that's been a big thing with the Olympics. But so we have these like easily recognizable images according to us and not probably according to what a being might look like. But then when people experience them, they see that sort of cartoonish, caricaturized being rather than what it may look like. And is that like that's how they present themselves to us, or that's the way our brain translates these things. And like you said, Victoria is still working through whatever they represent.
Nice.
Definitely.
All right. We have a comment from Just Your Average Dad. Have always wondered if demons are real or just bad spirits or even like elementals.
So it's one of those things that it depends on what you believe, because I could sit here and tell you a laundry list of reasons why I think demons do this specific thing, but it's not going to convince you that, they're real. So that's part of that. But I also think that demons have a very distinct set of phenomena, things that only demons can do, because everything they do, and I call it EPIM, if I can remember my own acronym, evil, presence, intensity, and malice. Those are the things that separate a demonic entity from any other type. So they're going to be able to do things other entities can't and bring it up to like a 20 on a 10-point scale. So their phenomena is just a lot different. Now, what we see a lot in culture is that demons get lumped in with a lot of other spirits. Like, for instance, when I'm reading the Dictionary of Demons, I think a lot of those are jinn because of the way that they're said to help people. Demons don't help people. Demons don't like people at all. They actually, there's a lot of evidence in the way that they behave in their narratives that they hate people and want to hurt us and want to kill us and, you know, all that stuff. So as far as just being bad spirits, I do think they're very, very different. But I do think they all get lumped together a lot. And this actually is a classification error that started in ancient times. Once the Yahweh cult, which was what it was called at the time, my mom gets on me about it every time I say that because she's Christian. When the Yahweh cult first came into being, it pushed out all other gods and goddesses and minor deities and was like, no, only our God is the true God. Everything else is a demon. So people became demonized as well as these spirits that were probably jinn. So.
Interesting. All right. We got Amelia, you got a friend in the audience.
Oh, hey, Ron.
Nice.
Hello. Thanks for tuning in.
And it looks like we did get a follow-up to Ecto Eyes' original question about offering. So, for example, we have a haunted doll. She's an 11-year-old girl named Beatrice. She's fairly new to us. We offered her some snacks and they've gone missing, hence the question. Beatrice is my kind of girl.
Right?
Take the snacks. Nice.
That's what I'd be doing. Take the snacks.
What is it called when they transmogrification or something, when spirits can like move objects completely?
Something like that.
Something,
yeah.
right? It's a word like that when they can just make something disappear, make your keys,
Teleportation?
make a hammer fall from the.
Yeah.
No,
Or is it not teleportation?
It's a
Oh my gosh, I know what you're talking about.
right.
There's
apporting.
It's like when a hammer will fall through the wall or something like that.
Yeah. Oh my
An
gosh.
apport, right?
Apport. Yes.
Apportation.
I think that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
I came across that a lot in my classification system. It's the only reason I knew that word.
Yeah, it's like I know the word, and it was, it's one of those just at the tip of the tongue. Thank you, Brandon Masulo.
Apportation.
Brandon.
In for the
Thank
win.
you, Brandon. Yes. Let's see, and I got my friend Bruce out there. Hey, Bruce, thanks for tuning in. All right. Perfect. So, since we're getting some more people trickling in, if you have, this is an interactive show, so if you have a question or a comment, feel free to put it in the chat. We have a little over 10 minutes left, so plenty of time to get in some more questions. I also have questions for Amelia and Victoria. They're going to be coming to the Paranormal Research Symposium, and they're both going to be doing some amazing presentations that I'm really looking forward to. And I'll just take a moment right now to remind everyone, we are doing a ticket giveaway right now. So if you would like to come to the symposium for free, we are giving away 2 tickets thanks to our sponsor, Gold Dust Publishing. Go to our Facebook page or our Instagram page and look for this image, a very similar image, and you're going to want to tag someone you want to go to the symposium with or someone you think would love to come, and then share the post on your timeline to be entered into a raffle. We will be doing that raffle next week during the speaker series where we have Ron, Lourdes, Cherie, and Tony as our guests. So, all right, we are going to return back to our regularly scheduled programming. So let's see. My next question for both of you: where do you see the study of ghosts and demons heading in the next decade? Whoever wants to go first. I won't pick anyone out this time.
As far as demons, I think there is going to be more intense focus on it because of this satanic panic we're in, because people are very convinced that the world is definitely ending, or it could just be that they feel helpless, like Amelia was saying, against forces that be, that can easily be like characterized as the way demonic entities are, like bigger, faster, stronger. They can get inside your head and do all sorts of crazy, funky stuff. So I think people are going to really desire to know more, but we have to, as researchers, try to put out more that is based in the science and not just in ratings, because that's a big problem. People, it ups the ante when it's a demon.
Yes. It reminds me of a little bit of LARPing. I'm not gonna lie, when I'm watching this on TV. So
Right.
a little chance to LARP as a hero and in this little
Find
programming bubble.
I love it when people are finding the truth.
Finding the truth.
Finding
That's
the
good.
truth. Yes. Then Just Your Average Dad, Satanic Panic V2.0. Yep.
Yeah.
True.
I think
All
we're
right.
going to see a waning, even if it's small, but I think we'll see a waning of the sort of craze, the paranormal craze in social media and influencing and content creation and stuff like that. I think we'll start to see that fall to the wayside a bit, also as like network television and streaming services probably go through the gamut of programming and then maybe start to lean away. I'm seeing more interest, just like anecdotally, like in true crime. That might be a thing that kind of eclipses this maybe, but but I am seeing people have like an increase in interest in like occult, esoteric. So sometimes we lump those things together, but they're two parallel kind of branches, and I see that kind of people moving in that direction, especially the generation of folks who grew up with Harry Potter and are interested in witchcraft, and then that sort of takes them out into these other places where we might see some more like fruitful study and a critical look into all of these different things. Like I want to see a more critical look at some of these different topics, including, things I'm probably part of the problem and part of the solution at the time too. But like, I'm fascinated to see where it goes.
I think you're right too. There is a bit of a waning now, because I'm even noticing some of the more popular content creators are starting to move away from the paranormal and starting to venture off into other subjects now. And it comes in waves. And I think you're right. We're starting to reach the end of this current wave. I mean, we'll probably get another wave in a couple of years, but yeah, it's starting to calm down a little bit.
We're definitely, to Victoria's point, I feel like societally we're reaching that satanic panic kind of point, and then maybe it like as an entertainment value type of thing, people will kind of start to move away from it for a little bit. And Victoria, what was the name of the guy that you mentioned?
It's either Frank D. Caro or Caro. I've only ever read his name, so I don't know how to pronounce it, but
cool.
Caro. It's
Got
in
it.
Jeannie Banks' book, Jeannie Banks Thomas, sorry, Putting the Supernatural in Its Place. She was one of my professors at USU. Her book's amazing. I bet you'd just love it, even just to read it.
And then do you ever watch, they're one of my favorite YouTubers that my husband got me turned on to because he's into occult esoteric stuff, is Justin Sledge, Rabbi Justin Sledge. And he does a lot of like ancient, looks into like ancient and up to modern like demonology, but from like an academic religious perspective. And he's a rabbi, and it's super cool stuff.
Yeah,
right?
I'll have to check it out.
I
unfortunately don't watch a lot of stuff.
He's not a rabbi, folks. This just in from Jonathan, who's listening from across the room. He's like, he's not a rabbi. I'm like, okay, he's just Justin Sledge.
Okay, good to know.
Anyway, sorry,
I'll look it up.
Adapted, but yeah.
All right. Brandon coming in with a great question. What are your thoughts on spiritual warfare in investigations?
Oh, good Lord. Warfare. I mean, I think that goes back to like Victoria's whole point that like my personal feeling, and again, I know people run up against some really spooky stuff when they're out there, but I think a lot of it comes from a desire to breathe more meaning and depth into what we're doing as paranormal investigators than probably what is actually happening. I mean, it's our responsibility, Alex mentioned ethics, to have utmost respect for these places and these people and these things, regardless of clients and stuff too. If it's a private investigation, I know that can be murky territory as well, but I've never seen something end well with a private investigation client when the investigators went in with the perspective that they were going to like blast these spirits back to where they came from or whatever. You guys probably have thoughts on that too.
As far as spiritual warfare goes, it heavily depends on what you're dealing with in the first place. Let's say, for argument's sake, this was a real demon. They would most likely make you sick. So there really wouldn't be much warfare going on unless you had an exorcist or somebody trained who would be able to push it back. Otherwise, you will be overwhelmed very quickly, because actually, like, demons have to obey divine law, and there are rules of them being in our world that I've picked up on just in my demonology stuff about they can't just come into people's lives. So that's another reason why this fear is overblown. They have to find a foothold in your world. And once they do, they have to like come through like a big doorway that they essentially create. They don't come in through the cracks, like a lot of people seem to believe. So they have to come in, and when you are going into these places, you're actually encroaching on their territory. This is their place. So they already have that advantage. If you were dealing with something else, spiritual warfare, it depends heavily, like, again, on what you're dealing with. It was a jinn. It has free will. It doesn't have to listen to you or your scripture. Even the Quran doesn't always make them listen, because they have that ability to turn away. If it's a human spirit, it doesn't always go because it doesn't want to. So it depends on whether they have free will, whether they're bound by certain rules, whether spiritual warfare can even happen in the first place.
That's enlightening. See, that was a great question, Brandon. All right. Robert Sawicki wants to know, I've been an investigator for 36 years. What are your true thoughts on investigating cemeteries? I have thoughts.
I always hear the words of Adam Seltzer echoing in my head, like, why would a ghost haunt the place where it's buried? It's always, and I'm like, oh, stop. Because there are certainly 100% haunted cemeteries. So I don't know. That was my only thought that jumped to mind, was that I've been to cemeteries that I certainly feel are haunted. Why spirits choose to stick around there? Generally, I feel like there's something going on the property where the cemetery is, something cool. Maybe it's a congregation of cool people that have found each other. I don't know, because we have definitely some of the most haunted cemeteries in the U.S. are here, right here in Chicagoland. So I can't knock it. I have tried it, but yeah, that's all. That's all. I'll stop there.
Oh, you're good.
I'm not
you're
an
good.
investigator, so I have trouble like really shoehorning into those conversations. But I have to agree, based on everything I do know, that I don't think most ghosts are haunting the cemeteries where they're buried. I think most of them are probably haunting their homes, if they are even still here, or places that meant a lot to them.
Oh no, sorry.
Cemeteries are for the living. But certain places are very old. The properties, the land itself, it could easily just be that place is haunted and not the cemetery itself. So investigating, like, you may pick up some really cool stuff there.
I like to
I
think
heard
too
something
when
really interesting recently. Oh, sorry. I
oh,
keep glitching.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
you're fine,
And
you're
I'm
fine.
talking over you, which I'm
You're
doing.
good. You're good.
Sorry.
Just a little side comment before going back to Amelia. I like to think that if there are spirits in cemeteries, they're there paying respects to like their friends or family who may be buried there.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I
how
didn't even think
that's
about that.
that's how I'd like to think of it. And maybe there's like, oh, I like this place. I'm going to stay here for a while. All right, Amelia.
I was going to say, right. It took me a while. It took me a minute to think of like, I was part of this conversation recently that was very profound, even though it was with Scotty Rourke, and he had said that like sometimes spiritual activity really is just centered around us, especially if we're people who are going out there asking for the spirits to be present around us. Mm-hmm. And so a cemetery itself might not necessarily be haunted in the general day-to-day sense, but we can call them to us if we go there with the intention of visiting with somebody. So we might get, like Robert saying, he gets a lot of EVPs in cemeteries. That might be true because he's bringing that energy with him and asking for folks to come talk with him, and so they might be attracted to him in particular and to that situation. Because like Victoria said, cemeteries are places really that are there for us. And if I was a ghost, I'd want to be somewhere. I don't know. I might float around. I might have fun haunting the cemetery once in a while, but definitely from like the theoretical sense about why spirits haunt places, it doesn't make tons of sense for them to haunt their own grave sites.
Nice. All right. See, Bruce says same in Massachusetts for haunted cemeteries. And then Just Your Average Dad says, I have a theory that spirits are in the cemetery, are watching over the graves, kind of like a caretaker. I like that. We won't know for sure until we're over there, over on that side. But, you know,
we'll go
fun
investigate.
to think about it. Yeah, right? It's fun to think about. All right. We have reached the end of our time together. Wow, this flew by. Holy cow. It absolutely flew by. So Victoria and Amelia, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you or if they have any questions? Where can they contact you?
For me, they can contact me through my website. So it used to be just, I think you can still look it up through demonfolklorist.com. Every single thing that I do is all under Demon Folklorist. My podcast, my email address is demonfolklorist@gmail.com. So if you have something you'd like to share, I'm always willing to listen or to help you process these experiences. Just be aware that if I really don't think it's a demon, I am going to tell you so.
Keeping it real.
That's awesome. Yes. So I'm at ameliacotter.com. And then most of my social media is Amelia M. Cotter. So on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, and my Gmail is ameliamcotter@gmail.com. I love to connect with people. So please, I have a little YouTube, I have a little teeny tiny channel, and Facebook, Instagram, all the usual places. So definitely let's get in touch.
Nice. And clearly Zoe has something to say too. So, and she demands scritches and scratches. All right. So both of you, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm really looking forward to both of your presentations at the symposium. So I'm going to go ahead and let you backstage. And for those of you who are watching, just stick around for just another moment. I just want to remind everyone we are doing a ticket giveaway for the symposium. We have 2 tickets to give away thanks to our sponsor, Gold Dust Publishing. Look for this post on our Facebook page and Instagram page. It's going to look a little different. It'll be a square instead of this format right here. But comment on that image, tag someone you want to attend the symposium with you or someone you think would love to come, and share it on your timeline. Your name will be entered into a drawing, and then we will be doing a drawing next week during our next speaker series live stream, and you can find out who the winner is. And for those of you who don't want to wait for the for the raffle, you can go ahead and get your tickets right now. If you head on over to associationofparanormalstudy.com, you can grab your tickets for the symposium. We are going to be in Gettysburg on August 17th, 2024. So it's going to be a nice day of panels, workshops, and presentations. And that's all I have for you all this evening. Thank you all so much for joining me. Next week, we're going to have Ron Vetti, Lourdes Gonzalez, Cherie, and Tony Rathman from the Staticon Project. They are going to be our guests. They are also our esteemed speakers for the symposium on August 17th. And thank you all for joining me tonight. And I will see you all next week. Keep an eye on the Association of Paranormal Study Facebook page. There will be posts featuring more speakers. And I'll see y'all next time. Thank you all so much.